Tonight on The Record is investigating the 4 years of controversy and chaos since the president signed Obamacare into law.
On this vote, the yeas are 219, the nays are 212. The motion to concur in the Senate amendment is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The Affordable Care Act is now 4 years old.
Today, after all the votes have been tallied, health insurance reform becomes law in the United States of America.
Since the start, President Obama's signature legislative accomplishment igniting partisan fighting and controversy.
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Look at how this bill was written. Can you say it was done openly? With transparency and accountability? Without backroom deals and struck behind closed doors? Hidden from the people? Hell no, you can't!
December 24th, 2009, Senate Democrats passing Obamacare with a filibuster-proof supermajority. Just 1 month later, the Democrats losing their supermajority with the election of Republican Scott Brown.
One thing is very, very clear as I travel throughout the state. People do not want the trillion-dollar health care plan that is being forced on the American people.
Brown's election killing any chances of overcoming a Republican filibuster. Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats rushing to pass an unamended Senate bill on March 21st. The president signing the Affordable Care Act just 2 days later. It's a big deal. The CBO estimates that the bill will cost more than $2 trillion over the next 10 years. Passage of the bill sparking massive protests around the nation. Grassroots outrage leading to a Republican landslide in the 2010 election. Republicans winning back the House of Representatives.
I now pass this gavel and the sacred trust that goes with it to the new Speaker. God bless you, Speaker.
I'm not recommending for every future president that they take a shellacking like I did last night.
The Republican majority pledging to repeal the law, something they've tried to do 54 times since taking the House. The law facing other challenges too, coming under fire in the Supreme Court, just barely surviving a 5-4 decision in summer 2012.
President Obama's signature legislative achievement, his health care law, survived today.
No question about it, a big win for the president. Just months later, another blow for the law's critics. President Obama is reelected.
America, I believe we can build on the progress we've made.
In 2013, key portions of the health care law going into effect. July 2013, the administration delaying the employer mandate. September 2013, Republicans pulling an all-nighter to defund the law.
I intend to speak in support of defunding Obamacare until I am no longer able to stand.
Their effort triggering a government shutdown.
What's stranger still is that shutting down our government doesn't accomplish their stated goal.
On the very same day as the government shutdown, Obamacare enrollment begins.
The Affordable Care Act is now open for business.
The botched rollout of healthcare.gov quickly stealing headlines.
I think it's great that this is happening. It's been a long time coming.
The screen says, "I'm sorry, your system is temporarily down."
Well, it's okay. It'll come back. You know, that happens every day.
The mess becomes a laughing stock, even drawing attention from late-night comedy shows.
Now, a lot of folks have been talking about our new healthcare enrollment website, how it's been crashing and freezing and shutting down and stalling and not working and breaking and sucking.
And after repeatedly making this promise,
if you like your doctor, you're going to be able to keep your doctor. If you like your plan, keep your plan.
The president admitting that he was totally wrong.
There is no doubt that the way I put that forward unequivocally ended up not being accurate.
And it didn't stop there. The White House racking up a laundry list of at least 37 major delays and fixes since Obamacare passed.
The Affordable Care Act is a law that passed the House, it passed the Senate, the Supreme Court ruled it constitutional. It was a central issue in last year's election. It is settled, and it is here to stay.
And now, Karl Rove, earlier this week, went on the record. We are now 4 years later. It's been 4 years of considerable controversy since the president signed his signature health care legislation. So where are we now? Or do we have to wait for March 31st, the deadline, before we can to answer that question?
No. Look, first of all, we know certain things. We know that every single major promise used to sell Obamacare has turned out not to be true. If you like your plan, you can keep it. That turned out not to be. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Your premiums are going to go down $2,500. No, the premiums have gone up. Your deductibles have gone up. Oh, you're going to, we're not going to raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $250,000 a year. Well, people who make less than $250,000 a year are going to be paying the taxes that are being levied on drug companies, medical device companies, healthcare providers, and even their own insurance policy, 2.5% tax on insurance policy. I could go on. All of the promises made about this so-called Affordable Care Act have turned out not to be true. Now, take the sign-up. We're sitting here mid-March. There were 5 million people signed up. We're here almost to the end of the month. The goal used to be 8 million. Then it was reduced to 7 million. They have 5 million people as of about 10 days ago. There's no way they're going to get to their 7 million number. And not only that, but it turns out, once again, that they're not shooting straight with us. The numbers they're giving out are the people who have selected a plan, not the people who have paid for a plan. We know, for example, that approximately 20% of the people who've signed up selected a plan have not paid for their plan. So the 5 million people who they say have signed up, selected a plan, that really is 4 million people who've actually enrolled by paying their check. The other thing we know is that there's a new McKinsey study out that suggests that basically 1 out of every 4 people who have been signed up in these exchanges were previously uninsured. That is to say, 3/4 of them are people who already had a pre-existing policy that they lost because of Obamacare's mandates and rules and regulations that made their policies no longer possible to be offered. And this just, this is how they're playing numbers all day long. The president not too long ago went out and said, oh, look at these millions of people who signed up for Medicaid as a result of the Affordable Care Act. Well, what we find out is this. There are 8.9 million people who have been signed up since the beginning of October in Medicaid. The ironic thing is most of them, over 55%, in states that did not expand Medicaid. So these were people already eligible for Medicaid. Even though the states that did not expand Medicaid are 45% of the population, they're 55% of the signups. So the vast majority, that 8.9 million, were people who are already eligible for Medicaid. The other thing is we find out that a bunch of states are reporting numbers of people who are simply renewing their annual Medicaid coverage. And the federal government glumps them into that 8.9 million number to blow it up and does not break out the renewals. So, once again, we're being misled. And we're being misled deliberately in order to make this program look better than it is. It's an utter, unmitigated policy disaster, and as a result, it will be a big problem for the Democrats politically come November.
Okay, we're in the president's second term, and we're going into, I assume, a lame duck at some point in the next 2 years. And looking just at where we are right now, what's the best thing that you see he's done as president in his second term so far?
Well, I'd be hard-pressed. I do think that he did the right thing by continuing in 2013 to ramp up the sanctions in Iran, but then he let those go in the agreement that we have made with the Iranians. There's not a whole heck of a lot that he's done right. He provoked unnecessary fights over raising the budget. The debt ceiling. He provoked unnecessary fights over the budget. He has turned into, rather than becoming a less partisan president in his second term, he's becoming a more partisan president in his second term. There's not a lot that I can suggest that he's done well except improve his golf score.
Carl, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us.